Monday, May the 6th, 2024, 1:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name's Dave McRae, coming to you live from the Voiceman Studios in Toronto, Canada. This is episode 256 of McRae Live. I thought we'd do something that I haven't done on the channel before. That is a tier ranking, utilizing that tier template that everybody seems to be utilizing. There's a lot of people that are, one more time! You didn't think I was going to stop there, did you? I wanted to utilize the tier ranking template that everybody seems to get their grubby little hands on and do my own little tier ranking. And I thought, why not do the big three? Each version of the big three, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees. Let's take a look at them. Let's see where I'm feeling today on where they stand and what's going on. Yes. Do we do it one more time? Fuck it, let's do it again. One more time. The last time. 256 shows. This is the 256th show. Amazing. This is going to be a good one. Where do you rank all the different Michael Myerses? Where do you rank all the different Jason Voorhees? Where do you rank all the different Freddy Kruegers? If you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Yes, here we are. We'll see who rolls on in today. And now, let me preface this by saying this. I am not including my own Freddy Krueger from Dylan's New Nightmare. I'm not including that in there because that obviously would be a conflict of interest. I thought I was pretty good. I'm not including Ghost Jason from the Never Hike Alone films. I am just sticking to the canonical sort of what is officially canon. So no Freddy from Dylan's New Nightmare, no Ghost Jason from the Never Hike Alone films, although I do quite like Ghost Jason a lot. And that's not just because I know Vince and I like Vince a lot. I would say that even if I had no idea who Vince was. I do like what he's done with those films and with that character. But, for the sake of the tier list and keeping it simple, I figured, let's just keep it, what is officially canon now. But that's what I want to do here. And the other thing I want to do as well is, I am not going to be rating. I understand that, technically there was a little stop motion animated Freddy Krueger in Dream Warriors, and I understand that in part 5 there was that big hulking Freddy. No. We're not doing that. Okay, listen, I'm a sweaty horror nerd, but I'm not that sweaty. I do use deodorant. So what I want to do is I just want to stick to the main Freddys or the main Jasons or the main Michaels. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to, technically in this, no, it's the main, what we know. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Just so you know. And also, this should go without saying, but this is the internet and you do have to say this. Well, you don't have to say this, but I choose to say it just to drill it home. For those of you that still don't get it, this is my list. How I feel about these characters. It may differ from your list, and that's okay. That's the cool thing. That's where you get to jump into the comment section and tell me what a fucking noob I am, or tell me what a genius I am. It is entirely up to you. But this is my list, and this is how I feel about it and how I see it today, as well, as of Monday, May the 6th, 2024. Ask me again a year from now, maybe I've changed my mind. You never know. So yes, just so we can, and I know that some of you may be watching on Dave, you really don't. No. Listen, if you don't have a YouTube channel and you don't have a following, and you know what, you're right. I don't need to do this, but I choose to do it. I choose to preface just so it saves everybody who's watching after the fact the time and the effort from writing something down below that I don't care. I don't care how wrong you think I am. I don't care how angry this video is going to make you. I don't care, because this is how I feel. Okay, these are my thoughts. Now that that's out of, and that should go without saying, really, at the end of the day. Boy, I'm hot today, right off the press, ladies and gentlemen, right out of the gate, I'm prickly. But no, listen, look, I mean, you know, like I said, anybody who's got a channel and a following knows that there's always somebody out there that goes, what about that? What about, this is my list. Your list may differ. Okay. Now that that's out of the way, let's jump into it. Let's figure this out and see where all these canon versions of these characters lie. And so let's jump over to the other screen. There we are. We're on the other screen now. Now, you'll be able to see here that I have here how I have done this. The top rating is McRae. Change nothing. That is the top rating. McRae. It's a play on amazing. McRae. Change nothing. And then the second spot is, I dig it. The spirit is there. I dig it. The spirit is there. So it's not McRae. It's not that I wouldn't change nothing, but certainly the spirit is there. And then the next spot is, you know, it's serviceable, but with some groin pain. So, you know, it's serviceable, but I'm starting to feel some groin pain. You know, I'm starting to feel some pain in the groin. You know what I'm saying? But it's serviceable, I guess. It's all right. And the fourth spot is, Just, it's just, that's it. It's just, And then the final spot is the smell of dog shit thawing in the springtime air. Now, if you live in a warm climate, where you do not get winter, or you do not get snow, I should say, then you probably have no idea what I'm talking about there. But anybody who lives in a 4-seasoned part of, the U.S., in Canada, everywhere in this country is 4 seasons. You do experience fall, summer, spring, and winter. But that's not always the case in the U.S. I mean, if you live in Arizona, for example, it could be like 98 degrees in, you know, January or February. So I'm talking about if you live in, like, you know, the Northeast or the Midwest or, you know, anywhere where you experience snow, winter. And you know that when there are people out there, even though you're supposed to pick up after your dog, but there's people out there that don't do it because they're lazy bastards. And they think, you know what? It's the winter time. I'm just going to let little doggy Sue, Chibi, just shit right here in the snow. And I'm not going to pick it up because nobody's going to be the wiser because he's shitting in the snow. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy when it's winter. But then in the springtime, you're out for a walk or you're out for a nice run and things are thawing, things are melting. And you know, if you know, there's always that beautiful, rich, thawing dog shit smell in the air that is just wafting through the neighborhood. It just smells. It's kind of like when you're driving in the country on a nice summer day and you're driving past a farm. What do you smell? The manure just wafting through. That's kind of like what it's like. But it's all because of you lazy bastards that don't pick up after your dogs, because if you picked up after your dogs, there wouldn't be the springtime thawing dog shit smell in the air. So that's the final spot. Okay. All right. And feel free to send in super chats if you want, or member chats, or whatever the case is. I will get to them, of course, after I go through this tier ranking here. Now, this is in no particular order, so I have not organized these in like all the Freddys, all the Jasons, all the Michaels. This is a mishmash because I thought it would be fun to keep it as a mishmash. So we're going to start at number 1 here, which is, of course, Richard Brooker from Friday the 13th, Part 3. And look, I mean, if you follow me for any length of time, you know that I'm a huge fan of those first Friday the 13th, those first 4 films, and especially Richard Brooker and Ted White. Whenever I think of Jason Voorhees, I think of Richard Brooker and Ted White. I do not think of Kane Hodder. And that's no disrespect to Kane Hodder. He's a legend. Oh, and by the way, and this should go without saying as well, this is all in good fun. I am not attacking any of the actors personally. I'm not saying, just because some might wind up in the springtime dog shit thawing smell fucking category doesn't mean that I think that they are dog shit thawing in the springtime. Okay, so it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. We're talking about the characters, how they come across in their movies, how they're utilized in the movies. Is it the best representation of that character? All that kind of stuff, right? That's what we're talking about. That should go without saying. It's not personal. But whenever I think of Jason Voorhees, I think of Richard Brooker and Ted White. That's the first thing that pops into my head. I got to tell you, this is going fucking right to the top for me. Definitely into the McRae category. Change nothing. Change nothing. The fucking Goldberg traps. This is the movie where he gets the hockey mask. Richard Brooker is a hulking presence. Rest in peace. And I got to say that, again, if you follow me for any length of time, you know that I'm a huge fan of those 2 incarnations of Jason. And so it's no surprise that I'm sticking him in the McRae category. Yes, 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 yes. Now we come to Freddy Krueger from Freddy versus Jason. Okay. This is not springtime dog shit, but this is not the Freddy that I imagine. It's still not, he's not really scary in this movie. So he's not, I can't quite put him at the bottom because, that's reserved for like real special occasions. But I'm going to put him in the category. I'm just not, again, if you follow me for any length of time, you know that I'm very particular. I'm very picky, maybe even anally so. I understand I can be really particular and it can maybe not be so fun for some fans, but it's not the worst incarnation of the character I've seen, not by a long shot. But I can't say that I love the incarnation. I do love, of course, and again, I know some people might say, well, what about Demon Freddy? Well, yeah, but we're just targeting the main characters in their films. I do love the makeup of Demon Freddy. I would love to have seen maybe where that character would, because he looks so evil and raw and I would love to have seen more of that, but of course we didn't get that. This is the Freddy that we get, and I'm just kind of like, you know what I mean? It's not my style, and then we come to another Freddy one, which of course is Freddy from Elm Street 2. If you know anything about me, I'm just going to put it right where it belongs. Right where it belongs in the McRae category. Change nothing. This is, as much as I love A Nightmare on Elm Street 1, and I do love A Nightmare on Elm Street 1. It is my favorite of the series, and Freddy Krueger is no doubt scary as fuck in that movie, and I think it's got one of the greatest, if not the greatest, slasher deaths in the history of slashers, and that is the Tina death. I am a huge fan of Elm Street 2, and I'm not a bandwagoner. No. I was a young boy growing up through the 80s. When I got into Freddy Krueger, there was only 1 or 2 Elm Street movies, period. There's probably only one, because I was 5, I think, when I got into him. And so I have always loved Elm Street 2 right from the get-go. I recognize that they take massive creative liberties in terms of the rules that were established in the first movie. I get it. I get that it's, for years, of course, it was, I can't repeat this, but for years it was known as a few choice words that you can't really repeat in 2024. But I was always a big fan, and I was always a big fan because I found it dark and I found it scary, and I found Freddy incredibly dark and incredibly scary. And this is without a doubt the scariest, best looking Freddy Krueger of all time, period. There is no debate in my opinion. The makeup that Kevin Yeager did, the witch, the hook witch nose and the sunken in eyes and the wet sword. I mean, he is terrifying in this movie. Absolutely, unequivocally terrifying, period. No questions asked. The scariest Freddy of all time. It's got one of the greatest dream sequences in any Freddy movie. The opening dream sequence with the bus and it's teeter-tottering on those big pillars. It's like a Salvador Dali painting. Like, it's so surreal and scary. And he gets up and he's walking down the aisle, and he's just there, and it just, the knives are coming up over it's fucking terrifying. He's cloaked in shadow. It is the single most terrifying Freddy Krueger we have ever had, period. And so it is McRae, change nothing. That should have been the template. That should have been Freddy moving forward in every incarnation. And I hope that when they get back to Freddy Krueger, that it is that version of Freddy Krueger. All right, we come to Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, ladies and gentlemen. This is, you know what? I'm going to put this in the serviceable category. And I'm going to put this in the serviceable category with some groin pain. And, after coming off Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, I mean, this is, again, I'm not a huge fan of The Curse of Michael Myers. I don't care if it's the producer's cut or the theatrical cut. I'm not a fan. I saw this in the movie theater when it came out. It was the first Halloween movie I saw in the movie theater when it came out. I was 16. And, it's not the worst Halloween movie, but it just was a big letdown, and it wasn't what I think it needed to be at all. However, it is light years in terms of atmosphere and mood and that fall Halloween vibe, and it's light years ahead of Halloween 5, and I think that George P. Wilbur, although he's a little stockier, a little heftier in part 6. I think Michael had been into the cheeseburgers. Rest in peace, George. We love you. I think that this was a better version of Michael than what we got in 5, but that was also because they utilized his character better, right? More split lighting, more in shadow, more, darkness. It was just a better utilized version of the character. But I can't say that I dig it, and the spirit is there, because it's just the movie itself and anyways, it's serviceable. Rest in peace, George. It is what it is. All right, now we come to Elm Street 3, ladies and gentlemen. This is a little thumbnail from when he's like, let's get high. I would say, wait, or is that part 4 when he says that? No, it's part 3 when he injects what's her face. I would say that this is going to go into, I'm gonna say, let me see here. I'm gonna put this up here as well. I dig it. The spirit is there. I dig it. The spirit is there. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put Freddy from part 3 into I dig it. The spirit is there. I dig it. There's a few things I don't like. I don't like how there's certain scenes where they've clearly, pitched his voice lower, which is where it always should be. And there's a couple of scenes where he just sounds like Robert Englund. And so, yeah, you know what? I gotta change my mind. I gotta put him down here. I'm not, I think it's serviceable, but with some groin pain. And so it's not the worst incarnation. And I know that Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors is a fan favorite, and arguably a lot of Elm Street fans' favorite or second. It's at least their favorite or their second. And I understand that. I get that. But for me, I do like the movie. I do. I think it's my third. I tend to like the Elm Street films in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But Freddy in that movie, there's some really good moments with him. But overall, I don't think he's nearly as scary and as dark thematically, just tonally, as he was in that second film. And the makeup still looks really good. But there's a few things in there where I'm like, again, we're just talking about Freddy, and there's some classic stuff like, Welcome to Prime Time, bitch, and Let's Get High, and sure, and there's some great moments where he's utilized well. You look tired. Just the way he looks in that shot looks really great. So it's serviceable. But ask me again in like a week, and maybe I put it into the dig it category. He's kind of a hybrid between here and here. Like if I could put him in the center, I probably would. But as I'm feeling right now, I'll put him in serviceable. Not the worst by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, now we come to Michael Myers from Halloween Resurrection, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Myers from Halloween Resurrection. Michael Myers from Halloween Resurrection. Now again, I gotta be as objective as I possibly can and try to look past the movie as a whole and the look of Myers. And the mask is not great, although there's a couple of moments where the mask actually looks pretty good. There's many moments where actually it looks better than even an H2O. I'm going to say, again, I have to look past the movie and the story and just the Michael character. I think, I'm going to put this in the category. Again, folks, it might be very hard for people to separate the character from the movie, but that's what we have to do here. The movie is dog shit thawing in the springtime. But what Brad Loree did with the character, I think was, it was okay, but it was because he was in a, you just saw the black paint around his eyes, and Michael was emasculated by Busta Rhymes, and it can be difficult to separate it. But I think I'm going to put him in But again, ask me again tomorrow, and maybe he's down there. But as of right now, I'm feeling a little generous, and maybe I'll put him in because it's still, it's not great. Like, it's just not great. But somehow there's moments where he seems to be utilized better than even what he did for in H2O. But again, the movie itself is terrible. It's one of the worst Halloween movies of all time. But the Michael in it, I'm just trying to think. I'm just thinking back to the movie here. Well, let me think on this for a moment. No. I gotta go down here. I gotta go down there. I do, because there's certain things that were done with the character that are it just doesn't work. That's not, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I got to do that. Michael Myers from Rob Zombie's Halloween. From Rob Zombie's Halloween, I'm going to put in the serviceable category with some groin pain. I think, again, when you look at what Rob Zombie was able to do with Halloween, it's not my Halloween. And what I mean by that is I'm not a huge fan of the creative choices that Rob Zombie did, the reimagining of Halloween. However, you have to give credit where credit is due, is that Rob didn't just he didn't just do the same thing over again. Now, he obviously still felt like his hands were tied, because that's why he delivered some similarities. They're the spirit of the 78 film you can sort of feel. And then, of course, when the chains were all off and his hands were not tied at all, he came back and did Halloween 2 from 2009. So, but I think as it relates to its story, I think what Tyler Mane was given, and I think how that character was crafted, I think was pretty good in relation to its film, right? It was a different kind of Michael. It was brooding. He was huge. He was hulking. Again, not necessarily at all what I would have done, but watching that movie, he complements that movie well. The style and what kind of movie that is. But I don't, it's just, it's a little too Jason for me. But I think it's serviceable in relation to, this new reality of this new reimagining of the character. So I would probably put him him there. But again, ask me again on a different day. The Jason from the remake, Derek Mears, excuse me. I'm going to put Derek Mears in the, I dig it. Spirit is there. I dig it. I have always digged Derek Mears' Jason Voorhees. I am not a huge fan of the remake, although I think it's, again, if we were rating the movies, I would probably put the movie in the serviceable category. I don't dislike it. I don't hate it, but I think Derek Mears is a terrific Jason. I think he's got that presence. He is to the Friday the 13th remake what Tyler Mane was to the Halloween remake 2 years prior. And that's why, you look at both of them and really, Tyler Mane is really kind of in that sort of, yeah, you know what, rethinking this, I'm kind of, serviceable with some groin pain. Yeah, I'll leave him there for now, but he could easily be down here when I think of, when I think about it, I'm just trying to think when I think about it and I think of my first reactions when I saw it, and I think about how I feel about the movie and the character of Michael in the movie. Yeah, I'm going to put it in I'm going to change my mind and put it in I am, because I do feel that's a genuine reaction from me. I think maybe I tend to be a little softer in as the years go by, but the fact of the matter is you got to be honest with yourself and you got to be honest with how you truly feel. And I've always been, I don't dislike Tyler Mane's portrayal. That's why I wouldn't put him at the bottom at all. I think it's a very strong but it's still an for me, I think. I think it is, but I don't know. We'll see how I feel as this tier list goes on. But definitely with this, I'm a big fan of Derek Mears as Jason. A big fan of Derek Mears as Jason. Well, this is Michael Myers from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and we're just going to put that down there. It's a dog shit thawing on the opening spring day, whatever it is. Listen, you know what? Again, you got to give credit where credit is due. Rob Zombie didn't just do the same thing over again. He did what he did. But it's just not. It's just the character of Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is almost a fraction of what he was in his own Rob Zombie Part 1. And so just the mask and the split and the hobo looking Michael with the hoodie and the vest and everything, I'm just like, this is just not Michael Myers. It's a complete reinvention of the character, which you have to give credit for that. You got to give credit where credit is due, but it's just not for me. Yeah, so this is Freddy Krueger from Dream Master. And what's funny, when I was watching all the Elm Street movies again about a year and a half ago with the Slaughtered Lamb guys, because we were reviewing, or we were doing the best and worst of all the Elm Street films, I have to say that having watched Dream Master again in a long time, I kind of like Dream Master a little bit more than I like Dream Warriors. I know that sounds crazy, but there's some really great cinematic language in that movie. The dream sequences with Lisa Wilcox and, just her flying into the screen of the theater. There's some wonderful moments in that movie. However, I think in terms of the Freddy character, this is where we're getting into We're getting into an because this is definitely, MTV Freddy. This is 1988. So this is, towards the end of the 80s, the slasher subgenre, its trajectory is starting to go down, although it's still there. Freddy and Jason are still extremely popular, but you are on, your way down. And when it comes to Dream Master Freddy, although there are always redeeming qualities, and every single person I put up here on the board, every version of this character, no matter what category it's in, there's always a redeeming quality, right? I can find redeeming qualities in the Resurrection Myers and the Rob Zombie 2 Myers, for sure. Of course you can, but it's sort of an overall general consensus, right? Is what we're sort of, or what I am deciding. And for me, although there's definitely some things about Dream Master Freddy I do quite like, overall, this is where he gets even more quippy. You know, you see him a lot more. He's wearing sunglasses. He's, you know, I mean, the cockroach kill is fantastic. Like there's some great things, right? But overall, for me, it's like, is this, because this was the beginning, right? I mean, well, you could look at part 3 as sort of that beginning, but this was, Dream Master was basically the solidification for what direction they decided to go in, right? Dream Warriors, you can make, although I do think I think he's more quippy in Dream Warriors than he is scary, you can make the argument in Dream Warriors that it's still a little bit of a hybrid and almost like, you know, they're figuring out which direction do we want to go with the character. Part 4, it is a clear, it's very clear. It's clearly communicated to the audience that we are now heading in this direction with the character. And that's why I'm like, But there's still some things in it that I do like. So, you know. Michael Myers from Halloween 2018. I am going to put him in the... I dig it. The spirit is there. I think James Jude Courtney was the best Michael Myers we had since Dick Warlock. And I think what he did in this series, the movies aside, his portrayal of Michael Myers, I think is wonderful. And I also think it was helped, obviously, having a mask that actually finally looked like Michael Myers. So shout out to Christopher Nelson and company. I mean, that's awesome. And so I don't think I can quite put him in the McRae change nothing category because, you know, there are some things that I would have done a bit differently with the character. You know, again, I'm very picky. I'm very particular. You're talking to a Halloween purist here. But I will say that I dug the fuck out of it. And the spirit is definitely there, way more than it's ever been in any of the other incarnations. So, yeah, shout out to James Jude Courtney for knocking it out of the park. I dig it. This is Michael Myers from Halloween Ends. So this is, we're going to go into, I'm going to put him into not dog shit, you know, thawing in the springtime, but I'm going to put him in because, you know, again, what James did with what he was able to do was great. I mean, there was some, you know, despite the hulking out like Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3 and, you know, getting his ass kicked by Corey Cunningham, you know, it wasn't necessarily him, but there's moments in that movie. There's moments in Halloween Ends where he looks good, you know, and he comes across as still that Michael, although it's quite fleeting. So I'm going to put him in the category, but still, James still commands a presence. He still looks good. The mask still looks really good. How they light him still looks really good. So there's moments that, but it's a big It's a big right? It's like you know, But I don't think I can quite go as far as dog shit thawing in the springtime smell. Not yet, anyway. Dick Warlock, Halloween 2. He's going all the way right up here, folks, to McRae Change Nothing. I know that there are people that will always compare Dick Warlock and Nick Castle. I get it. I totally understand it. But I still think, although I prefer Nick Castle's portrayal and his performance as the Shape, I do. Dick Warlock, and maybe if we had other amazing Michaels in part 4 and 5 and 6, and, you know, then maybe I wouldn't feel this way. But for so many years, Dick Warlock was, in my opinion, second best for years until 2018 when James Jude Courtney came along. And, you know, there is an argument to be made that people have made it, that maybe James Jude Courtney is the second best and he's knocked Dick Warlock from, you know, the second spot. That is an argument that can totally be made, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that argument. For me, I think, you know, what plays a part in this is nostalgia. Obviously, you know, when I got into Michael Myers, there were only 2 Michael Myerses. So, you know, obviously for many years as a young boy in the 80s, I would only watch 2 Halloween movies there were 3 Halloween movies, but only 2 Michael Myers movies because that's that's all there were. And so nostalgia definitely plays a role for me, but I really do like his size. I like, yeah, he's a little more robotic than, Dick Warlock, but man, there's some, how they utilized the shape in that movie, how they lit the shape in that movie, again, was still awesome. It's the same mask that they used in the first movie, of course, literally the same mask. It just looks different, a bit different, not totally different, but a bit different because of the different head shapes of Dick Warlock and Nick Castle. So Nick Castle has more of a longer face. Dick Warlock has more of a rounder face. So obviously there's, a slight difference. But the mask still looks great. And Dick Warlock, I still think did a tremendous job as the shape. And yeah, I would, I guess I could put it in the I dig it category, because would I change nothing? Maybe I would have him maybe loosen up on the robotic stuff a bit, maybe, but you know what? I still think he's earned his spot in the McRae, because yeah, I mean, for years he was second best, and I think he's earned that spot regardless. So I love him as the shape. All right, we got Freddy Krueger from Elm Street 5. Freddy Krueger from Elm Street 5, and we're just going down here into the springtime dog shit, thawing in the springtime category. I am not a fan of this movie. This is what they established in terms of the character. This is what they established in 4, and then just leaned really heavily into it for 5. And then they leaned even more into it, But yeah, I'm not a fan of the makeup. We do know that obviously as the series went on, Robert specifically requested, hey, I can't be under this fucking. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but basically he was like, I don't want to be in the makeup chair for 4 hours every day, getting poked and prodded and all this shit on and peeling it off. It was too much. So they figured out a way to do it, to minimize the work and to do it that would help Robert. Really, at the end of the day. And that's why the makeup, as the series went on, the makeup looked less and less impressive. And actually, Freddy started to look more and more just like Robert. And you really begin to see that here in 5. It's not as detailed. It looks more bubblegummy. It's not as wet looking. It's just not as burned looking. And then of course, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan. He's hardly in this movie, by the way, too. I think it's probably, I don't know for sure, but I would say that it's one of the Freddy movies that he has the least amount of screen time. I wouldn't be surprised by that. So not a fan of Freddy in 5. Not a fan of Freddy in 5. Jason from Freddy versus Jason. I'm going to, I'm just going to go into the category. I don't hate Jason from this movie, but I don't love him from this movie. But he didn't, it's not like I'm getting my knickers in a twist, as the English would say, over it. I just think it's just kind of there. Yeah, I think it's just an situation, really, at the end of the day. I really have no more to say on it than that. Just kind of it's just not really, he's big and he's hulking and that's great. But I don't really feel, I don't know. I'll just put him in the for now. Not dog shit, but just kind of for me. Well, we know where this is going. Michael Myers, Halloween 5, dog shit thawing in the springtime, smell in the air. Again, this is no disrespect to what's his face, Don Shanks at all. This is nothing. This is about how the character was utilized, the mask. It just was, there's no, that movie is largely, not entirely, but largely void of suspense and mood and atmosphere. And seeing Michael in broad daylight walking aimlessly under a tree kicking rocks is just one of the most uneventful, uninspiring, unsuspenseful things I've ever seen. And there's a lot of that in this movie. And so I am not a big fan of how they handled this character at all, especially coming from part 4. It is such a step down. And so, not a fan at all. there's really nothing to say, there's nothing more to say on it. Jason from Jason Goes to Hell. This is another dog shit thawing in the springtime in the air smell. Whatever the hell, what am I saying? The smell of dog shit thawing in the springtime air. I am not a fan of Jason Goes to Hell. I know it has its fans. It's not just a little, it's way too avant-garde for me. I do not like the fact that Jason is just not in it. I mean, he's in it in the first, 10 or 15 minutes, and then he gets blown up by the FBI and I think it was them. And then people are eating people to pass on it's just not for me. It's just not for me, ladies and gentlemen. It's not for me. It's just not for me. Jason from Friday the 13th Part 2, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? I gotta put Jason from Friday the 13th Part 2. Geez, where do we go here? I'm going to put this guy in the, I've always dug him. I'm going to put in the I dig it, the spirit is there. I don't know if I'd put him quite in the McRae Chains Nothing, because I think, again, when I got into Friday the 13th and Jason, let's see, I was 3 in 1982. In 81, or I was 2 in 1981. So that doesn't really count. But certainly when I got into Jason, there were probably at least 4 Friday the 13th at that time. And I prefer Jason with the hockey mask. I think it is such a cool looking mask, not just because it is so in the zeitgeist and in the pop culture. I try to think of that and look at it as completely, as objectively as I possibly can. Those hockey masks, those goalie masks, if you look at the history of the NHL and hockey, goalies used to wear masks that looked like that way back when, they began to wear masks. There was a lot of really cool looking goalie masks. Now, they're nowhere near as protective as the masks are today, but you look at a goalie today and all the masks, all the helmets look the same. Well, and they were masks too. They weren't necessarily helmets back in the day, right? They were just masks. And they did help to, if you got a puck in the face, obviously it probably still fucking hurt when somebody's drilling a, 98 mile an hour slap shot at your face. Yeah, that's going to fucking hurt. But it's a lot better than having nothing there. But the helmets today just kind of all look the same. And that's why each goalie tries to add their own stamp and their own identity by how they paint their mask, or their helmet, I should say. But you look up at some NHL goalies back in like the 70s. Oh, there's some fucking wicked ass looking masks, man. So I just think, and this is of course from the early 80s. So this goalie mask is in the spirit of those, what are now old school goalie hockey masks. And so there is something really, there's an ominous sort of look and presence to that kind of a mask. It just looks so menacing. Do you know what I mean? And really cool. And so I've always loved that about the Jason character. And the fact that it went on to become so iconic is a bonus. But so I think I will always prefer, Ted White and Richard Brooker's look over Steve Dash and Gillette, but I really do dig Sackhead Jason. I have always digged Sackhead Jason. I've always liked Sackhead Jason. And I kind of wish that we could have got more with him, to be honest with you. So yeah, I dig it for sure. Absolutely, 100%. New Nightmare Freddy. I'm going to put him in the I dig it category. I think this was such a, again, not that I wouldn't change anything. I don't love this incarnation of Freddy as much as I love, say, Elm Street 2, but I dig it. And again, from where we came from Freddy's Dead, this is like a complete 180. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a complete 180. And so, where this incarnation of the character falls in line with sort of the sequence of movies definitely helps to play a role. Absolutely 100%. Had this been the Freddy right after, say, part 2 Freddy, maybe I'd feel a bit differently and be like, well, he's serviceable. Do you know what I mean? But because Freddy, in my opinion, had been going down the tubes in terms of his scare factor for so many years, to suddenly come back with New Nightmare, Freddy was like, oh, this is much better. This is much better. Not quite Freddy 2, but this is a lot better. So I've always dug the look, the trench coat, the vibe. I've always dug it. So, yeah, definitely. All right, we're on to H2O Michael Myers. H2O Michael Myers. Oh, man. Poor Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards. If he's watching, he's not going to like this. But I've never been a fan of H2O Myers. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I know that's going to hurt. I know that's going to hurt. But the H2O Myers is the smell of dog shit thawing in the springtime air. The smell of dog shit thawing in the springtime air. No, it is not for me. It is not for me. And this is not an attack on Chris Durand at all. Like I said at the top of the show, this has nothing to do with Chris Durand at all. This is about how I feel about how the character of Michael was utilized. And for me, H2O is a movie that, I was 19 when it came out. I went to see it in the theater, and it is not, look, it's not the worst Halloween movie. Well, it might be the worst Halloween movie, actually, in terms of it feeling like a Halloween movie. But it's not a terrible movie by any stretch of the imagination. But it's a strange movie for me. I don't think it's aged well. And I've never particularly liked Michael's performance in that film and how his character is portrayed. And it really has very little to, although this doesn't help, it has very little to do with the multiple masks. That certainly doesn't help. But I've never been a fan at all of seeing him so clearly, of the eye holes being as big as the sun, seeing his eyes so big, having a big fro on his mask. I've never been really a big fan of Chris Durand's stance as Michael Myers. I think his stance is often too wide. It's just, are there redeeming qualities? Are there moments that I'm like, oh, I like that shot. I like that moment. Absolutely. I'll give you an example. The moment when the young girl is going to the bathroom, right, at that roadside rest stop. And the mother is in the stall, and she peeks through the stall and she sees Michael sort of turn and look back, kind of, in the reflection of the mirror. I've always liked the way that he kind of looks in that shot for some reason. Looks really cool, really kind of, that's kind of, again, there's things like that I do like. But overall, I'm not a fan of Halloween H2O, and I'm just not a fan of the Michael in that movie. I gotta say, I'm really not. And every time I watch it, I'm not a fan of it. So, again, it's no disrespect to Chris Durand. It's not personal, right? It's just the way, how I feel about the character of Myers, and I'm very particular, and I have to be honest with it. So that is how I feel. We've got Freddy Krueger from the original Elm Street. Well, listen, we're going to put him in the smell of dog shit thawing in the... No, I'm just kidding. He's going all the way to the McRae. Change nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Change nothing. I think it is... Look, I mean, again, between Freddy from 1 and 2, although I think Freddy from part 2 is a little darker, a little scarier, and the makeup is just fucking... Chef's kisses, that was. There is no denying that Freddy from A Nightmare on Elm Street 1 is badass. He is terrifying. He is scary. He's cloaked in shadow, which is where he always should be. I mean, not that you don't show him at all, but I just mean that's where he lives. He generally lives in that world. And it's got one of the best, if not the best, slasher death sequences, but deaths as well, in the history of slashers. I still think to this day, Tina's death scene in A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I don't just mean the moment of her death, where she's on the ceiling and everything. That's all great, but I'm talking about the entire sequence. beginning with when she wakes up and she hears the little rocks being thrown at the window, and she rolls over and she tries to wake up Rod, but he's asleep. Right from that moment, because that's when she begins to dream. Right from that moment to the moment that Rod is, Tina, who did this? I'll kill you. Who did? Like, right, that whole sequence is, because I include it as just one, is arguably, and I do feel this way, and I've always, felt this way, the single greatest death in the history of slashers, because of everything that it entails and how menacing he looks and the cinematic language and just the meaning behind the line, or the lines, "Please God, this is God." And it's so ironic because he is the antithesis of God, but in this world, I am God, bitch. This is God. I am your God. Like, it's just so dark and so evil. And it's just, and then everything that happens after that. And so, again, and he's great in this movie. He's great. He is, it's a classic rendition of the character. I wish it could have stayed like that. But there's no denying that Freddy from Elm Street 1 is in the McRae category. All right, we're going with Roy from Elm Street 5. Roy from Elm Street 5. You know what? When we're talking about the character, I'm going to put him in the dig it. I dig it. Again, we're talking about the character. He's not Jason, I get it, but we're going to include him here because, it is an incarnation. He's taking on the character, so to speak. I've always dug it. When we just look at Roy as just the character of Jason, if this actually was Jason, right? If this actually was Jason, I have no trouble believing, because of the stature of the actor playing Jason, I have no trouble believing that this could be the same Jason from Friday 4, that this is Ted White. They look similar in stature, similar in size, right? It's not like we've gone from Ted White down to, say, I don't know, Jackie Earle Haley or me, right? 5'8". No, this is still a hulking presence, a large presence. Ooh, baby, ooh, baby, ooh, baby, ooh, baby, ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. You can't talk about Friday 5 without doing that. But I dig it. Like, I've always dug the portrayal of Jason, quote unquote, in Friday 5. We know it's not Jason, but everything we see from this Jason, quote unquote, I don't have any issues with. And I don't have any issues with how the movie, how the movie presents him. So although it doesn't end up being Jason in the film, I've always dug Roy as Jason. Again, if you didn't know and you were asked to believe that this was Ted White's version, you'd have no trouble believing it. Like, you wouldn't go, oh, this isn't the same guy. No, you'd be like, yeah, totally. Same presence, same size, same stature. Yeah, you can tell obviously it's not the same actor, so you can tell, it's a little bit different. But I have no trouble believing it. In the same ways that I have no trouble believing that Dick Warlock is the same version of Nick Castle's Michael. Like, I have no trouble. Yes, Dick Warlock, maybe, he's got a little bit of that robot walk, but I have no trouble believing it's the same character, right? Like, it's the same version. Whereas when you go to Rob Zombie, I don't, I totally know, not that it's supposed to be, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I've always dug it. All right. Speaking of Ted White, here we are. Ted White. Oh, gotta put him in McRae. Change nothing. Again, folks, like I said earlier, when I think of Jason Voorhees, I do not think of Kane Hodder. And that is no disrespect to Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder is a legend in the horror space. Shout out to Kane. He is a legend. And for many horror fans around the world, he is the quintessential Jason Voorhees. There could be a variety of reasons for that. Maybe it's an age thing. If you were born, I was born in 79. If you were born, say, in 84, maybe because of the age you were, that maybe when you got into the Friday movies, Jason or Kane was your Jason, right? So that could play a part. Whereas I was born in the late 70s. So when I got into Jason, there was no Kane Hodder. So, he existed obviously, but he wasn't Jason. So even though that 5-year gap might be enough to sway the nostalgia, where the nostalgia, lies, and where our input is, where our gateway is into the franchise. That does play a role. So for me, by the time Kane Hodder became Jason in 1987, I was already 8 and I was still into it, but I was already well into Richard Brooker, Ted White, Steve Dash, kind of thing. So, so I will always, when I think of, when somebody says Jason Voorhees, the first thing that pops into my head is Richard Brooker from part 3 or Ted White from part 4. That's the image that pops into my head. So it's classic. And I love this shot of the mask. I chose that one because I love that kill in part 4. And the shot of the mask, how dirty it looks. And it's an awesome kill in that movie. It's a great fucking kill. All right. We're going to Jason X. Jason X. You know what? I'm going to put this may surprise you. Again, we're talking about the characters now. I'm going to put this into the serviceable category, but with some groin pain. And I think it's because it's such a departure. Looking at that and watching Kane Hodder in Jason X, I don't, if you didn't know it was a Friday the 13th movie, you may not think it's a Friday the 13th movie. Do you know what I mean? Because it just, it's such a cool look. He's got such a cool look that it almost doesn't feel like he's Jason. So I can disassociate it very easily, even though I know it's supposed to be Jason Voorhees, who's been frozen for I don't know how many years. I've never really, because he doesn't look like Jason really. And the let's be honest here, okay? Let's be honest. If you just saw that image, if you just saw, does that open up at all? It doesn't. Okay. But you know the image I'm talking about. If you just saw that image today, there was no Jason X. Jason X was never a movie. This was never a thing. You just saw that image, that face today in a bloody disgusting article about some new future. You wouldn't look at that and go, Jason Voorhees. You wouldn't at all. You'd be like, oh, what's this? Is this some kind of is this from Dune or is this from I don't know, some Marvel, or is this from Star Wars or something? Or you wouldn't immediately think Jason Voorhees. You do now because, right? Because you know what it's from. But so whenever I watch Jason X, I'm always look, it's not like you can watch the whole movie and not think of him at all. But because it's in the future and he has this futuristic look, I've always kind of dug the way he looks in that movie. And of course there's that great kill with the not the dry ice, but the kill I'm talking about. It's got some really cool kills. I don't particularly like the movie. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of the movie really, but him in that movie, I think he's really cool looking. And so, I'd say he's serviceable with some groin pain, but he's serviceable. That's all right. All right. I'm going to put, now we're going to CJ Graham from Friday 6, and I'm going to put him in the I dig it. I've always dug. Now, I do know that there was a different actor. Okay. I do know who was a bit chunkier around the midsection. I forget his name. The chat room will let me know. Hawkheads will let me know. I do know that he was there sort of in the beginning. I understand that. But CJ Graham is the most identified with the character from part 6. He's the one that we see the most. So that's why I've chosen him here, and I'm not, putting in the other one. But I've always, although I am not as big of a fan of Friday Part 6 as a lot of fans are out there in the world, there are a lot of fans that feel about Friday 6 like they do Elm Street 3. Friday 6 is basically the Elm Street 3 and the H2O, maybe Halloween 4 even, of the Friday franchise. I like Friday 6. I don't dislike it. I like it. I do. But it's not my favorite. I don't like it as much as some people do, but I do enjoy it. And I do say that I do dig CJ Graham as Jason. I think, again, because he has that presence and he has that size, and all the Jasons do really. Well, Kane is not as big as the other guys. But I've always dug his version of Jason, for sure. Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason. Where do I put this here? I got to take a swig of water. Let me take a swig of water here. I gotta... Yeah, I'm just not... I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason. I think, and a large look. I mean, to be fair, although I'm trying to disassociate myself from the movies as best I can, it can be difficult. But thinking about the portrayal of Jason in that movie, not really a big fan. I think he was meaner and scarier in The New Blood, actually. So in this movie, it's not that he doesn't have presence, but I don't think his presence is as strong in this movie as it is in the previous movie. And the whole gimmick and everything, and him kind of, yeah, I'm not a fan. We'll just put it that way. Not a fan. Not a fan. The smell of dog shit thawing in the springtime air. Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills. I got to put Halloween Kills. I got to put it in the I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. The spirit is there. The spirit is there. Again, it's not that there's nothing that I wouldn't change, but I love the mask in this movie. I think James Jude Courtney just continues to, again, his portrayal of Michael is great. It's solid. I dig it. The spirit is there. I dig it. The spirit is there. I don't know if I'm ready to put them at the top tier yet, or to put his portrayal of Myers in the top tier. Again, we do this tier ranking 5 years from now, and some people may shift around, right? But as of right now, I do dig it. I do dig it. I think his portrayal of Michael in that movie is I mean, listen, us Halloween fans have had to, and this is not a personal attack on the actors. It's not it's not personal. But when we think of Halloween 4 and Halloween 5 and Halloween 6 and H2O and Resurrection and Rob Zombie 1 and Rob Zombie 2. And I mean, there's been so many years, decades, where we just haven't had a Michael that finally feels like Michael Myers, moves like Michael Myers, walks like Michael Myers, is lit like Michael Myers. And to be fair, the mask, again, we cannot undersell that. We cannot undersell how important that mask has made us feel about James Jude Courtney as Michael Myers. 100%. We cannot state that enough. That does play a huge role. But I really dig Michael in Halloween Kills. Not a huge fan of the movie. I don't think it's a total disaster, or as Donald Trump would say, total disaster. I don't think it's a total disaster. But obviously, look, if you want to go and watch or learn about all the issues I had with it, I have, tons of videos on my channel. Just YouTube Dave McRae Halloween Kills, and it'll pop up. But there is no denying at least these two things. At least these two things when it comes to the David Gordon Green trilogy. There is no denying at least these two things. Number one, the fucking soundtrack in all three movies is fire. Absolute, unequivocal fire. Fire. John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies knocked it out of the park. That's number one. And number two, James Jude Courtney is the best Myers we've had in years. Oh, and number three, there's three things. Number three, and the mask is the best Michael Myers mask we've had in years. Those three things are undeniable, in my opinion. So yeah, that's where I'm going to put him. You know what? I'm going to put, Jason from part one. I'm putting him in at the very top, man. I'm putting him at the very top. Listen, it was fleeting. It was, but it's iconic, and the way he looks and the makeup, that's been done by Tom Savini, and he's got to go there. Right? I mean, listen, I mean, maybe it's not fair because it's not like he's on land walking around, but this is an iconic moment regardless of what you think of the original Friday the 13th, regardless of whether you like the original Friday the 13th or not. I'm actually a big fan of it. But whether you like it or not, you think it's boring or not, yeah, that's the one without Jason, I don't like it. Actually, there's two without Jason. That's the one with no Jason, it's just his mother. Whatever the case is, hey, it's how you feel, it's how you feel. There is no denying that ending with him coming out of the water is iconic. And that look to Jason and that moment and the way he looks, it's McRae, man. That version of Jason is McRae. It's McRae. Change nothing about that moment. I wouldn't change. What the hell would you change about that moment? What, that we see them fighting underwater? What, he comes up and there's more of a struggle? No, it's quick, it's dirty, it's easy, it's there, it's shocking, and as soon as it begins, it's done, and you get a glimpse of what he looks like, and it's like, what the fuck? It's McRae. It's McRae. It's McRae. Maybe a little unfair because it's not like he's, in any of the rest of the movie, but just as a symbolic gesture, I think we've got to put that moment, at least, that Jason, right at the top. All right, we've got Jason from the New Blood. Jason from the New Blood. And you know what? Oh, man. Jason from the New Blood. Jason from the New Blood. I'm going to put Jason from the New Blood in the serviceable. Again, I am not a huge fan of Kane Hodder's incarnation of Jason, but I like him better than the Freddy versus Jason, and I certainly like him better than part 8 Jason and Jason Goes to Hell, for sure. And I think he's scarier in that movie than he is. I think actually the scariest incarnation of Kane Hodder's Jason is from Jason from part 7, The New Blood. I think he's less scary in part 8, and I think he's less scary he's not even really there, really, in part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. And then him as futuristic Jason is just, he's scary, but he's not the same kind of scary. There's a scariness about Jason in The New Blood that is, and when he comes out of the water and you can see his ribs and everything, and the makeup is fucking great, the design is great. Again, not my favorite Jason, but out of all the incarnations of Kane Hodder's Jason, I would say that part 7 would be my favorite version of Kane Hodder's Jason. So I'm going to put him in serviceable for sure. With some I got a bit of groin pain because I'm like, I'm kind of losing interest in the series at this point. But and maybe ask me on a different day, and maybe he'd move up here, maybe he'd move up there if you ask me on a different day. But I got to put him down here for now. But he's got room to grow. Okay, Jackie Earle Haley. You know what? I'm going to put him in the serviceable. I think Jackie Earle Haley gets way too much hate. I think he was a good Freddy Krueger. I think when you look at Freddy Krueger, or when you look at the Elm Street remake from 2010, I think Jackie Earle Haley, although the makeup is not, maybe what people wanted, and they went for something that was a little more realistic, like a real burn victim, as opposed to something that was a little more stylized. I understand that, and people have their expectations, and I get that. But out of all the issues with the Elm Street remake, I don't think Jackie Earle Haley's portrayal of Freddy, we can talk about the makeup, but I don't think his portrayal of Freddy Krueger is like at the top of the list. It's different. It's not Robert. That's true. It's not Robert. And it is different, but I think it's serviceable. With some groin pain, right? I got some groin pain. But it's serviceable. So that's where I would put Jackie Earle Haley's Freddy is here. When we're talking about the movie, I would, probably put the movie into uh-oh category, or something like that. But his portrayal, there's some nice moments in there. And I think he himself gets too much hate. Although I have seen a lot of people coming to his defense too, saying, hey, listen, I'm not a big fan of his portrayal. Like, me putting him in the serviceable category is not me saying that I'm a huge fan of his portrayal. I'm not. But it's me basically recognizing and honoring the fact that, hey, he's really not the main problem here. Maybe a problem, but not the main problem. So I've always, he's serviceable. It's different. It's a different incarnation, but it's serviceable. And then we come to Freddy's Dead Freddy. Oh, God. Well, we know immediately that this is going to go into the McRae category. I mean, this is just, one of the great abominations of all time that goes right down into the smell of dog shit thawing in the springtime air category. Ladies and gentlemen, Freddy's Dead is the worst in the franchise. Hands down, there is no denying it, in my opinion. And I think this is the worst incarnation of the character. There is nothing scary about this version of the character. Just go watch the Slaughtered Lambs best and worst of Freddy's Dead, because I'm on there. And again, I'm going to the extreme to make a point, folks. So if you are a huge fan, please do not get offended. I'm not attacking anybody personally, including the filmmakers. I'm just simply saying that this movie did not work for me. I don't think this was a very good movie at all. I'm saying that I don't think it was a very good Elm Street movie. You could look at it in a different way, I guess, a different category, and be, it's a good movie like this. Okay, but that's not what it is. It's an Elm Street movie, and it's supposed to be the final Elm Street movie to one of the most iconic characters in the history of horror. And this is just not it. This is just, he's a carnival barker in this movie. I've said he's a loser in this movie. I'm not saying Robert Englund's a loser. I'm saying Freddy is a loser in this movie. He's a loser. I'm not scared of him. I don't find anything scary about him. The movie is void of atmosphere. It's void of suspense. It's void of any sort of nuance, of any sense of scary. He is fully dumb Freddy realized. What we saw the beginnings of in part 3, where they were kind of beginning to shift and move him in a little more quippy category, he is fully realized in Elm Street 6, Freddy's Dead. That is where he is this. And I'm just like, this is not Freddy. This is not where I think the character should have gone. This is, so God, I hope not what they go back to. It's unfortunate that they are likely, when they do reboot Freddy, maybe not. I mean, I'm still holding out hope, but there is a distinct possibility that when they do eventually reboot Freddy, whether that's a series, a movie, whatever the case is, that they will likely have a Freddy that is some sort of hybrid of quippy. And because unfortunately, that's how an entire generation has come to kind of know him. And it's too bad, because Freddy's Dead Freddy is just, and the makeup by this point, and I get it, I get why they were doing it, but the makeup by this point, he just looks like Robert Englund under just a kind of like, he looks like Robert Englund cosplaying as Freddy. Like, there's no Freddy there at all. Like, it's just, he is a shell of what he was in that second movie. And, it is a terrible, it is the worst in the franchise, the worst Freddy in the franchise. I don't like it at all. And everything from that dumb scene when he's with Carlos. Is he with Carlos at this time? I think it is. When he's got, the chalkboard and he's moving it, he's going like this on the chalkboard, and, and just, nice hearing from you, Carlos. And, and just, no screaming while the bus is in motion. And like, oh God, I'm just like, there's no, he is at this point in time, he is the fully realized carnival barker, silly, game show host, Freddy Krueger. That's what he is. And okay, if that's what you want your Freddy to be, that's cool. That is not what I want Freddy to be. This is a complete 180 from where I think he should be. And so for me, he is in the smell of dog shit thawing in the springtime air. Great graphics. Oh God, no! He's playing the video game and he's going, oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Oh God. All right, George P. Wilbur, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. You know what? It's really funny that this one ended up being the last one. I did not do that intentionally. I just uploaded them and it just randomly put that last, saving the best for last. George P. Wilbur is Michael. You know, this is funny because although I absolutely agree that the Michael Myers mask in Halloween 4 is not good, but you know what? And I have to be honest with how I feel. And you guys know that I'm always honest with you, that the mask from Halloween 4 has grown on me over the years. Not in every shot, but it's grown on me to the point where I don't mind it. I don't like it, but I don't mind it. And it's strange. And the mask in this shot here, I think it's creepy. Like it's a creepy looking mask in and of itself. And I think it kind of works. And that dream sequence at the beginning with Jamie Lloyd and she's running, or sorry, her parents are, running down the hall and she opens the door and George P. Wilbur's, or maybe it's not George P. Wilbur at that time. It might've been, what's his face? But anyway, the door opens, there he is. He looks down, he lifts up I think there's some nice moments in this movie that this mask in particular looks pretty creepy. So I can't put it in the dog, and I can't put George P. Wilbur's portrayal of Michael in the dog shit springtime smelling in the air category. I keep getting that back to front. I'm going to put this in the serviceable. I'm going to put George P. Wilbur's portrayal of Michael Myers in Halloween 4 in the serviceable category, with some groin pain. It's not the worst, folks. It's not. And it's grown on me over the years. Yeah, you got the shoulder pads, and yeah, he kind of looks like Frankenstein when he's climbing up onto the roof. There is a Frankenstein aspect to him, but it's grown on, it's not the worst in my opinion, and it's serviceable. It's serviceable with some groin pain. And then, do I put it in the I dig it? Spirit is there? No, I can't do that. I can't put it in the I dig it because I don't think the spirit is there. I don't think the spirit is strong enough to be there for me to put it into the I dig it. The spirit is there. So that's why it's got to go into serviceable. Because I don't necessarily believe that this Michael is the same Michael from 1 and 2. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not quite sure that the spirit is there. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, Nick Castle. That's got to go into the top. McRae change nothing. Change absolutely nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Castle's portrayal of Michael, of course, is iconic and will always be the gold standard of Michael Myers. And the funny thing was that he was just basically just walking around. Yes, he did add a little bit of something, but he wasn't thinking about it. He wasn't methodically breaking it down. He wasn't, behaving like some sort of method actor like Daniel Day-Lewis on the set and nobody could talk to him and he was eating alone. And no, he just was fucking he went up to John, Carpenter and asked, what do you want me to do? How do you want? And John Carpenter famously said, just walk, just be yourself. I don't give a fuck. Because at that time in 1978, nobody was thinking about this kind of stuff. Nobody thought it was going to go on and become the highest grossing independent horror movie of all time. Nobody thought it was going to start a franchise or become a cultural icon. Nobody thought that. So it was just throw this mask on and just walk because you're not that important. Like how you move isn't necessarily as long as you're not doing this and you're acting all silly, just be yourself, just walk across the street. And that's what he did. And that's what he did. And I know that John Carpenter has famously said, Nick's parents were dancers. And I think Tommy Lee Wallace, had said that too, that, his parents were dancers. So Nick had this, this nice sort of grace and this glide. Nick Castle, I've seen since kind of go, that's funny and cute and all, but I wasn't thinking about that. I mean, that's nice that they somehow think that I was somehow channeling my parents into, I got to walk and be graceful. No, I just was doing what John told me to do, and I just walked across the street. So it is what it is. But because it was the first movie, because it was the incarnation of the character, it created the template. And he's a regular sized dude. At that time, he was probably 5'10", 160 pounds maybe. And so, that became sort of the standard and what we always sort of measure to. So that is it, folks. That is my tier ranking. I don't think I've left anybody off. That is my tier ranking. All 33 versions of each of the versions of the big three: Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger. If you're watching live, or I should say after the fact, jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, on, of course, that would be quite a list, but let me know what you agree with me on, what you don't agree with me on. Jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts. I would like to know. Let's jump over to the to the chat room and see what all of you are saying. I know some super chats and member chats did come in. Let me get them. Here we go. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99 and says, I remember seeing a fake movie poster for a movie called Fred with DJ Quayles playing Freddy. Amazing how many people believe and share movie news that is clearly fake. Yeah, that was about a month or two ago? Yeah, well, that was also, it was shared and created by a Facebook page that explicitly specifically says that they are a satire Facebook page and that everything they share is fake. So it never ceases to amaze me that people will still follow pages and still be fooled by pages that are openly telling you they're lying to you. By the way, I'm lying to you. Hey folks, I'm lying to you. The Halloween TV show is canceled. I'm lying. I'm just kidding. Hey, Dave McRae said it was canceled. Like, you still get that. I don't fucking get it. It's insane. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, Josh. VO Trapper sends in $5, says, hey Dave, in your opinion, should slashers be simplified, complex, or both? If so, in what aspects in the premise, character, story, etc.? I don't know. I think slashers should be, listen, a good story is a good story, and good characters are good characters. So I think they should be whatever they want to be, really, at the end of the day. Traditionally, they are simple because they are traditionally simplified because of the golden age of slashers and because of the studios wanted to make quick money. So they didn't want to spend a lot of time on, and again, I'm going back to I think now there's more of an opportunity for slashers to be a little more elevated, if you will. But back in the 80s, there wasn't the time for that. They were dishing out an Elm Street and Friday the 13th movie once every year. And so they just wanted to throw people at a campsite and have them killed and just not change the formula. But now in 2024, yeah, I think there's an opportunity to be both. Power Packer is one of our great members, been a member for 8 months, sends in a member chat and says, I love Elm Street 4 now due to your Top Hat Freddy story. Keep up the great work, Dave. You like Elm Street 4 now due to my Top Hat. I guess it's because I tell that story? Because it has nothing to do with Elm Street 4. But okay, sure. Hey, if that makes you like Elm Street 4, that's even better. I do. I've really come around to Elm Street 4. And again, I don't think it's as great as the first two films in terms of what I would want from an Elm Street movie. But I do. I don't know, man. It's kind of warming up to it a little bit. But I think it's because of the dream sequences and the cinematic language. I think it's just stellar in that film. Rennie Harlan was director. Eddie Chase sends in a very generous super chat of $20. Thank you, Eddie. Really appreciate that. And says, what entry of either series has risen in your ranks as years gone and why? I just said Elm Street 4. Almost 2 years and I still have Ends as my least favorite, even over Resurrection. And 5, because those at least can laugh and rewatch value. Am I wrong? Well, no, you're not wrong. It's how you feel, right, Eddie? I mean, this is how I can't tell you how to feel. This is art. These are movies. It is largely subjective. There is you can measure film objectively. There is a way to measure film objectively. But what is subjective is whether a movie works for you or not. If you are going into a movie, and I say this to anybody out there, if you are going into a movie and if you're going into a film and you are truly being objective, you are not going into a movie to hate a movie. You have not been watching all the culture war channels that tell you to hate a movie before it comes out. You are not, you are genuinely, authentically going into a movie and watching a movie for the absolute true nature or the absolute truth of making up your own mind. And that's hard to do nowadays because there's a lot of people out there that watch channels like mine, or I'm not a movie review channel, so they probably don't get what to think of a movie from me. But there's a lot of people out there that will now watch reviews on movies they've yet to see. They will watch and get all the details. They're caught up in the culture war about woke this and woke that and fuck that movie and fuck Star Wars and fuck Indiana Jones and fuck this and fuck Disney and all this stuff. They will learn to hate a movie before the movie's even done filming. There's so much anger and vitriol now that very few people who are dialed into this give themselves any hope of any opportunity to truly like it, to walk away and have the balls and the cojones to say, you know what? I actually fucking like that movie. There's a lot of people that don't like it. It ain't the cool thing, to like because everybody's saying that I should hate it, but I actually kind of liked it. It worked for me. Very few people today have the balls to say that. It's true. That's why I say on this channel, I'm an unabashed, huge fan of Avatar. I don't care if you think it's dog shit. I don't care. I like it. It worked for me. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. We always hope that, our friends like what we like. We always look to people online and to communities to be able to share in our love of something, for sure. But at the end of the day, you like what you like. And we should never, ever, ever mold ourselves or change our opinions because we are afraid of being made fun of for that. Always know that, and remember, as much as I make fun of Halloween 5 or Freddy's Dead or whatever the case is, I have never once on this channel said all those who do like the movie are garbage people, are dog shit people. You're a fucking idiot if you like it. I've never said that. Now, people have interpreted that from me, right? Because they lack nuance and they can't disassociate somebody's distaste for a movie from, their distaste for a person. That has nothing to do with it, right? I love Avatar. If you hate Avatar, does that mean you hate me? No. It just means we disagree on the movie. Right? But there's so many people in this world that look to the identity of a movie to, and if somebody likes what we don't like, it's, I can't like you because it's awful. It happens in sports. It happens in politics. It's in entertainment. It's everywhere. So no, Eddie, I think that's amazing. I think that's all. Whatever you like, right? Whatever you don't like, you don't like. I think Halloween Resurrection, Halloween 5 are worse than Halloween Ends. And there's a variety of reasons for that I've gone over. But that doesn't mean in and of itself that I love Halloween Ends, right? It doesn't mean that at all. I don't love Halloween Ends. I don't. But there's things about Halloween Ends that I like more than things about Halloween 5 and Halloween Resurrection. And so that's why I would put it above those two movies. But that's me. And then you come along and you go, well, I disagree. That's great. And for you, it's like this. So I say this to anybody who's watching me right now. And I sincerely mean this. I don't care if it's me. I don't care if it's any other channel. Wherever you go in life, like what you like, love what you love, celebrate it. I understand that it can be really hard when you're trying to celebrate something in a sea of people who don't like it. I get that. But then, have the cognitive awareness to know that I probably shouldn't preach what I love here at the moment because I'm probably going to get attacked. So maybe I'll just save that. It's okay to mention it, but maybe I'll save it for, a space and a community and a group of people who share my love, right? I don't care if Freddy's Dead is your favorite Elm Street movie. You are welcome here on the channel. You are welcome here. You are welcome to express it in the chat room. And people are free to disagree with you in the chat, and you guys can have a fun debate back and forth. Listen, I think Freddy's Dead is amazing. And then somebody might chime in and be like, dude, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Freddy's Dead. Dude, I think it's crap. You think it's crap? I think it's crap. You love it? No way. You love it? No way. And then you guys can have but if anybody ever in the chat room was to start attacking your character, right? There's a difference that's where the straw man argument comes in, right? That's when you get so many people in this world that don't know how to attack the issue, so they start attacking your character. Well, you're dumb. You're a fucking idiot. You're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about here, right? And once the character attacks start to happen, right, then that's when it's like, okay, I'm out, right? Let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about the movie. Let's talk about why it worked. The other side of the coin is that there are a lot of people that just don't know how to form an argument beyond, I think it's dog shit, right? You know what I'm saying? And so that can happen too. But yeah, please understand you are always welcome here all the time. And to like what you like, love what you love, and that's it. And have fun. And I want people to debate it back and forth. Like if you said to me right now, Dave, I think Freddy's Dead is amazing, I'd be like, no! Oh, come on! Seriously? Tell me. Why? Tell me. And we just have some fun. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's just anybody that says you're an idiot or you're a fucking loser for liking Elm Street 5 or Elm Street 5, Halloween 5, whatever it is just mean and cruel and not the kind of people you want to hang out with. But yeah, dude, I think it's great. Like what you like, Eddie. Carl Weidman gifted 5 memberships. Amazing. Thank you, Carl. That was so awesome. Who did you gift them to? Let me see here. Can I, let me see. I think I don't know if I'd be able to, let me go. I wonder if I can go back and see who you gifted them to. Chat room's moving really fast today. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see who they were. Damn it. I wanted to give them a shout out. No, that's too bad. Okay. Well, anyway, whoever you guys are, I'm sure I will see you pop up because I'll be adding your names to the member card. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you, Carl Weidman, for gifting 5 memberships. Totally awesome. Yeah, folks, if you want to be a member here on the channel, just hit that join button. There's 2 tiers. And there's different things with each tier. We have a member-only Q&A coming up this Wednesday at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We just had our level 2 member-only show called One Good Scare, the Halloween-only show where we can talk about everything and anything Halloween. That's for level number 2 members. We just had that like a week and a bit ago where we perused eBay and looked at crazy priced Halloween shit. That was a lot of fun. And then our next horror movie nights, which is also a level number 2 perk, is coming up this month as well. It's going to be coming up soon. Our last horror movie night, which is a watch along, was Friday 13th Part 4. So anyway, yeah, if you want to get in on it, hit that join button and help support the channel. I'd really appreciate it. All right, let me see here. Thank you, Carl. I really appreciate that, by the way. Robert Kitzmiller sends in $5. Thank you, Rob. Says, where would you put Corey Cunningham? Technically, he played a version of Michael Myers a la Roy Burns. Yes, that's true, but I didn't include Corey in here because I understand what you're saying. I do. I understand what you're saying, but I did not include Corey Cunningham because it doesn't feel like the same thing as Roy Burns because you see, in Friday the 13th 5, there was no hint that this wasn't Jason until the end of the movie. And so there were hints that maybe it couldn't be Jason. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe it was Tommy. There were hints, right? But, you could watch that movie and think, oh, Jason's back. What the fuck? How does he back? What's going on? there was no obvious thing, at least for me. I'd have to go back and watch the movie. With Halloween Ends, it was clearly communicated to the audience that Corey Cunningham had taken the mask, got the jumpsuit. Like, we knew it was Corey, right? Like, not once when Corey was doing the killing did we think it was Michael Myers, right? Not once when Corey killed the radio DJ did we think, oh, wow, that was an awesome Michael. No, we knew it was Michael Myers. Right? Not once when Corey was killing his mother. Was that in the movie or was that, I can't remember if that was deleted or not, but did we think that was Michael? Not once when Corey was killing the band kids, did we think it was Michael Myers, right? So I didn't include him in this because I knew it was Corey Cunningham. I did not, it's not like there's this twist and surprise at the end. There was a twist and surprise for Laurie, right? Because when she it was like, oh my God, but not necessarily for the audience at all. So that's why I didn't put him in there. But I mean, how did he do as Michael? Yeah, he did fine, I guess. He was serviceable, right? But I didn't include him because of that. If that makes any sense. And that's a good point, Aaron. Yeah, he says Corey didn't necessarily replace Michael either, right? So yeah, that's a good point. All right, let me go back here. Let me see. It's a good question though. AK Channel TV sends in $1.99. Says, sorry, I can't stay, Dave. Great video idea. Thanks, man. Yeah, well, I've seen others doing tier ranking, and I've always wanted to do it. This is really a long time coming. And I'll do more as well. Because it's a lot of fun. But I thought, you know what? I'll do it today. Why not do it today? I think this will be a lot of fun. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. I have other ideas up my sleeve for tier rankings, and they usually get good engagement. So, because everybody likes to figure out where you'd put something. Eddie Chase sends in $10. Thanks, Eddie. Says, David Gordon Green did a great job of making town a character and showed the aftermath. Making the town a character and showing the aftermath. I agree. Logistically, having Michael tag team with Corey, and importantly, marketed film ticked me off. It should have been a copycat film. Thanks. Yes, Eddie. Look, I mean, I've already talked about this ad nauseum, but you're absolutely right. It's the Corey Cunningham story of Halloween Ends is a great story. I think it's in the wrong movie. And I've, famously said that, famously, I don't know if it's famous now, but I've said many times over the last almost 2 years that, that I actually was enjoying Halloween Ends, ironically, until Michael Myers showed up. And that should never be the case, right? When Michael Myers shows up in any movie, it should only ratchet your engagement and excitement even more. You shouldn't kind of go, fuck, Michael, get out of here. And that's kind of how I felt, because he was just kind of there. And so the Corey Cunningham story is a really great story about a kid. Think about this. Essentially is what the Corey Cunningham story is. And I've talked about this, but humor me. The Corey Cunningham story is about an all-American kid, late teens, early 20s, good grades, good-looking kid, good head on his shoulders, does well, wants to go off to college and be somebody, is babysitting, a nice boy, a nice kid, right? And then one night, something horrific happens to him, turns him upside down. Right? He falls into a depression. The town hates him because the town doesn't believe that he didn't murder that kid, because it was an affluent family that this happened to, right? They're rich with a lot of money. Maybe he goes on trial. He's charged with murder, right? It goes to court. This whole thing, his life is ruined. His life is ruined. And he comes back to the town. The town hates him. Some of the town wants to give him support. There's a lot of the town that doesn't believe him. And the bullying that he's getting from the town, from his classmates, from his, whatever the case is, ironically, that bullying, look, the town is fractured. The town is fractured. The town is suffering. The town is hurt. Absolutely. Because of the aftermath of Myers. But ironically, the behavior of the town, ironically, births a new Michael Myers in Corey Cunningham, right? And so the psychological ramifications of the bullying and the depression and the, all the shit that he's gone through, for lack of a better way of, stating it, turns Corey into the very evil that the town is suffering from, or the very evil that the town is suffering from, the very evil that is no longer there, that is the ramifications and the residual effects that the town is still continuing to suffer from. And ironically, they bring him back. They bring Michael back. Even if he doesn't dress like Michael Myers. He doesn't have to put on a Shatner mask. That's Scarecrow mask is great. Whatever the case is, it's the principle. It's the symbol of the irony of what has happened to this town in bringing Michael Myers back, quote unquote, Michael Myers back, because it's not really Michael, right? That in and of itself, ladies and gentlemen, is a great fucking story. That's a great movie. That is a great starting point for an anthology series for Halloween called Haddonfield. You can even have Jamie Lee Curtis and everything that Jamie and Allison are talking about. Jamie, her apprehension to get her, for Allison to get involved, right? Her saying things like, I've seen those eyes before. And that could still be true, right? Because Michael, it's not like he doesn't exist, right? So I was actually, the first half of Halloween Ends, I'm like, I'm really liking, this is actually a really great story because there's a lot of symbolism. There's a lot of cinematic language. The cultural sort of, cultural, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the cultural, it works really well with social, like the social cultural commentary that you want to serve. I'm like, this is great. And you don't need Michael Myers to do that. You don't need Michael Myers to tell a story about a kid that had a bad accident in the same way that he did, and in Haddonfield, and the town is reeling from the after effects of Myers, and the bullying and the psychological ramifications of everything that the kid has been through, ironically brings Mike. You don't need Michael for that story. That's a great fucking story. And you know what? I'm not alone in that. There's a reason why Halloween Ends is divisive and not categorically panned. There's a reason for that. There's something there. It's just in the wrong movie. This is not the time for it. That should have been the story after. In maybe a TV form. That's how I feel about it. Josh McKenna, $9.99, says, some movies I'm not ashamed or embarrassed that I like. That I like are the Twilight movies, Barbie and H2O. There you go. Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. I think I've only seen one or two of the Twilight movies. I'm a big fan of Barbie. You know that. We can share our love of Barbie together, Josh. H2O, not a big fan of H2O, but you're a big fan of H2O, which is amazing. And you like the Twilight films. Fucking rock it, man. Rock that you like the Twilight films. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Who cares, right? I like the Barbie film. I did. Yeah, I recognize that it was, woke and that it had a lot of preachy, but it's, like I said, it's Barbie. What did these testosterone-filled male moviegoers think when they were going to see Barbie? Hey, did you know that the Barbie movie is full of girl power, preachy wokeness? No. Really? A movie called Barbie? Huh. Whoever would have thunk it? It's Barbie, man. But I still laughed, and I thought it was kind of funny. I'm not the target demographic, obviously, but I thought it was funny. I laughed. I recognized it. I saw all the woke shit. I did. I saw it. But like I've said many times, I think the movie worked for me because of the kind of movie Barbie was. It was a satire, and they leaned heavily into it. It was almost like a spoof movie. So any fun woke, it worked in that movie because the movie was so satirical. You know what I mean? If it was a movie that was taking itself seriously, then I think it would have been a little maybe too on the nose. But if you're going to make a movie that's a little preachy, Barbie's probably the movie to do it. Carl Weidman sends in $5, says, how easy it for you to add, subtract names from the membership list? Just curious. Well, it takes a moment. Like, I mean, I have to go in and see who's there still. Sometimes when somebody is no longer a member, I will leave their name up for maybe a week or two to see if they rejoin. Because sometimes that happens as well. Sometimes, I give a bit of a buffer zone. Sometimes they realize, oh shit, my membership expired. I got to rejoin. Because sometimes people will do that. They'll rejoin and that just saves me having to re-add their name. But if they're gone for like maybe 2 weeks or so, then I will remove their name. Because part of the deal is you become a member, you get your name on the card. If you're no longer a member, well, then your name's not on the card. It's not personal. It's just, that's the deal. So, but it depending on how many names I have to add or subtract, it might take me, 10 or 15 minutes or something like that. It's not long, it's a process, but it's not like, overly tedious or anything like that. Might take, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It all depends on how many names I have to re-add or add at all, or subtract, move around, things like that. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Becoming a member is always good. And then Carl Wyman gifted another 5 memberships. Amazing. Carl, you are the man today, my man. That was very nice of you. I should be able to track and see who these were for. Hang on. Let me go back over here and see if I can see that. Here we go. Yep. MAGA Cat gets a membership. Amazing. Zodiac Z gets a membership. Amazing. Jay-Z Glazier gets a membership. Amazing. Solitary Millennial gets a membership. Amazing. And Big Papa Musk gets a membership. Amazing. Well, welcome to being a member, folks. And hope you like, maybe you'll stick around. You never know. Appreciate that. Carl, you've gifted 10 memberships today. I really, really appreciate that. That's very nice of you. I'm just going back and reading Cody Snyder's, he's a fucking loser. I love it. All in good fun, folks. All in good fun. All right. Have I got all the super chats? I think I have. I don't think I've missed any super chats. I don't believe I have. Let's jump over here now and see what Holly Klein. Hey, Holly Klein. Haven't seen Holly in a while. Nice to see your face in here, Holly. It's been a while. Holly says, like Corey's mom said, they need to find a new boogeyman. They found it in Corey. Yeah, again, and there's so many, again, you can take that literally, right? Which I know you don't literally mean, but, or mean it literally. But again, there's a lot of people can rag on Corey. It's not that the Corey Cunningham story is garbage or it's dog shit. It's just in the wrong movie, in my opinion. There's also a lot of people out there that love Halloween Ends and love that the Corey Cunningham story is a part of it, right? I think that Halloween Ends should have been a different movie. And I even have a video on my channel that I talk about what I would have done with Halloween Ends. Just YouTube, Dave. If you ever want to know my thoughts on what I think about Halloween 18 kills or ends, just YouTube Dave McRae, Halloween 18. Dave McRae, Halloween kills. Dave McRae, Halloween ends. And it'll all pop up. I did a bunch of pre-recorded videos, a bunch of live shows. It's all there. And my thoughts on those 3 movies haven't really changed. So you'll get all you need. But yeah, but that stuff is interesting. To me, I'm like, that's imagine that. Imagine them, obviously they can't do it now, but imagine they deliver Halloween Ends, a lot of Michael Myers, it's a different kind of movie, goes out, epic thing, big fight, whatever the case is, feels like Halloween, you really liked it. And then the Halloween TV series is the Corey Cunningham story. Now imagine the first half of Halloween Ends, remove Michael Myers, but imagine that's the story they're telling. So we open it. Maybe we open it, instead of it being Halloween 18 when he's babysitting, it's Halloween 2024 or 2025. And we open it and he's riding his bike and he's babysitting, and we go through that whole thing. And the town is reeling from the aftermath, and there's a lot of suicides in the town. There's a lot of, there's still people that are trying to get things together, and Lori is living her best life now, and whatever or trying to, she's writing a book. There's so many things you can still use. And that first episode is the horrific night for Corey Cunningham. And it's just about this town that ironically brings their suppression. They're pushing things under the rug and not dealing with the depression and the psychological ramifications and the residual effects of this poor town, this stain that is on this town, these poor people that are dealing with a lot of mental illness, and a lot of things that are happening. Suppressing that and not getting the help that the town needs, ironically, creates a new Michael Myers. That's a great story. That's a great story, and it's a relevant story today. And I think there's so many things you could do. The character development, the drama, the scares, the horror. I mean, that's a great story. That's a great story. It's a great story. That's why I don't hate Halloween Ends, because there's a lot about it I actually do quite like. Just not a great Michael Myers. It's just not a great ending to what it, it's not a great ending for Michael Myers. Let's put it that way. James McMillan became a member. James McMillan has become a member at level number 2. Amazing. Thank you so much, James. Welcome to the McCrazies. Welcome to the member side of things. And welcome. And now your name will be highlighted in the chat. And you can send in member chats as well. James says, I love your YouTube channel. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you, James. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you. Did you notice that all new members, the little avatar beside your name is Freddy Krueger, which is pretty cool. I want to start adding more as well, more different badges and emojis. Just haven't gotten around to it, but yeah. Very, 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 very cool. Chester Franklin Jr. What's going on, Chester? Says, Dave, Dan Bradley was the Jason in part 6 during the paintball scene. The rest is CJ Graham. This was a great stream idea, by the way. Cheers, my man. Thank you. Yes, Dan Bradley. There you go. Well, shout out to Dan Bradley. I don't know if he's around still or not. I'm not entirely sure. But big shout out to Dan the Man Bradley. Zodiac Z says, you keep it up. I'll try to do the same. I'm not sure if you're talking to me or anybody else, but I love the little emojis there. That's pretty fun. Those are fun emojis. Those aren't mine. Those are different. But dancing. Oh, I think they're dancing. Staying alive. Ha 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 ha. Kind of reminds me of Staying Alive. The Bee Gees. Okay, let's see here. What do we got? Okay, we'll go another 10 minutes or so. That'll bring us to 2 hours. I think that'll be a good show. Because Guitarist Dog 87 says, Dave, has H2O Myers ever reminded you of Charlie Chaplin? Always got that vibe. H2O Myers remind me of Charlie Chaplin. I can't say that he has. No. That's an interesting comparison. I can't say that he has. The next time I'm watching H2O, I will think about it. I'll think about it. Tom Ungurian says, I disagree, Dave, but all good. That's great. That's great that you disagree. What do you disagree on, though? I have no idea. I'm not sure what you disagree with, but it's good that you disagree. It's good to disagree, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't think you're a loser because you disagree with me, and hopefully you don't think I'm one. Just the way it is. The disagreeing is folks, it's not that we disagree, it's how we disagree. Listen, I'm of a certain generation, and I'm not saying I'm old, and I'm not saying there aren't people in the chat room that are not my age and older. There are. But and if you are my age and older, or even maybe a bit younger, you know this. The internet, but if you're young, if you're like 19, 20, 21, then you've just grown up in the digital age. But back in the 80s and the 90s, man, we would just fucking disagree and just have fun with it. Like, not once did I ever, do I ever recall having a conversation with somebody and him or her being like, I'm not a big fan of that thing. And me being like, fuck you, man. Fuck you, man. And that's literally what the internet is like now. It's like, and I tell you what it is. It's true. The internet has made it far too easy for people to be anonymous. As Mike Tyson has said, it's made it far too easy for people to say whatever the hell they want without being punched in the face. It's true. It's true. No, I do know that I have been I have been mischaracterized on Reddit and elsewhere of being condescending and pretentious and arrogant. And that's just because I am a very animated person. So I go to the extreme, I'm an actor, right? So I go to the extreme to have fun and say, it's dog shit. Look at my tier on here, right? The smell of dog shit thawing in the springtime air. Well, that's a little harsh. I just like to have fun. I like to go to the extreme and have fun, right? That's what it's all about. I'm serious when I say that I do not like Elm Street 6, but instead of saying, I think Elm Street 6 is just not a very good movie, I'm like, Elm Street 6 is the biggest pile. It makes it fun. It's part of my shtick. And so, but in no way, shape, or form is that me saying that all those who do like it are, somehow losers, or I'm somehow a better person than you. Who the fuck? What? Excuse me. This is movies. It's not that serious, right? I am not more of a fan and you are not less of a fan because we don't like the same things, right? It's just different strokes for different folks. That's how it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's how it is. Let's see here. Did I get all the super chats? I think I did. Yeah, Josh McMillan was the last member who came in. Okay, which is became a member of level number 2. Amazing. Let me see here. Alley Girl, what's going on? Alley Girl says Gen X. That is just what we did. Disagree and go on. It's true. It's true, isn't it? It doesn't mean that there aren't people that can annoy you, but I don't recall. It's only since the internet and the discourse online that I have been met with and also seen and experienced so much like character, like making it personal. You know what I mean? Like, I don't recall, like in the 90s, I wasn't a big fan of H2O, right? And my friend Brian kind of liked H2O. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And he was like, yeah, I kind of liked it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And Brian and I are still really good friends today. Like, I don't recall being like, oh, you did? You did? You did? What about this? What about the eye holes, Brian? What about the eye holes, Brian? And he was like, oh, yeah, well, fuck you, man. I really do believe that the internet and social media has really made it just far too easy for people to, and I don't know, I would like to believe that my generation is somehow not responsible for all this, but I know that's not true, because I know that there are numpties and boneheads and, in every generation, and which is absolutely true. And there are good, rational. There are good, rational, smart, intelligent people in every generation as well. I do not mean to come across as ageist and pretentious when I say that. There are 23-year-old guys watching me right now that are totally not like that, 100%. But it's just crazy to me, the amount of, it's crazy. I could go on. I've talked about it before, but it's crazy. But just know, we're all here to have fun. We're all here to have fun. Aaron Click says, Dave, any idea when Two Dudes will be back to somewhat regular schedule? I realize Tony's been very busy. He has. Yes, I have to reach out to Tony. He's been just really, really busy and all the power. I think that's amazing. So, yes, it is something that is on the agenda. I haven't talked to Tony in a couple of weeks, but I will reach out to him and see sort of what the dealio is, because I do want to get back to that as well, because that would be a lot of fun to do. All right, 2.5 minutes to go on the show, folks. 2.5 minutes to go in the show. I want to see if I can get somebody I haven't got here yet. Davey Deathray, what's going on? Davey says, I will proclaim it until I die with no shame whatsoever. Josie and the Pussycats is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, and I love it. Yes, amazing. I've never seen it, but I just love that you are so passionate and love it. Specifically the PG-13 version. I think it's awesome. I'm trying to think of some other than the ones I've mentioned. Well, I mean, let me see here. There's some guilty pleasures that I really like. Well, hey, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, right? I posted that on my social media the other day. I don't care what anybody says. I think Stop or My Mom Will Shoot is a charming, funny little fucking comedy. And I've always liked it. I mean, clearly I do, because I own it on DVD. I don't care, man. Stop or My Mom. I know that it is considered one of the worst movies ever made. It's considered one of the disasters of Sylvester Stallone's career. But call me crazy, having Sophia from the Golden Girls and Sylvester Stallone in a movie together, and I don't care. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I'm right there with you. We can be on the mountaintop, together. Josie the Pussycats, stop or my mom will shoot. Yeah. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Do I think it's one of the great comedies of all time? Of course not. But I don't think it's like this god awful film or anything like that. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So yeah, you like what you like, man. Like what you like. It would be, and I know this is an overused cliche, but it would be really boring if we all really did like the exact same thing. We would just be a bunch of fucking AI robots, man. It'd be awful. It'd be awful. All right, let me see here. One last look at the James McMillan, Carl Weidman. Yes. Okay, no, we're good. We're good there. All right, we are good. All right, folks, listen. That is going to do it for me on this for this episode of McRae Live. I want to thank, of course, my great moderators, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, Chris Baber, Cody Snyder, and Andrew Stevens. Thank you for doing what you guys do. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you to all the super chat questions that came in today, and thank you to the member chats and to Carl Weidman for gifting 10 memberships today. Very nice of you, Carl. Thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. And listen, if you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts on what you thought of my tier list ranking and where would you rank each version of the big three. Now, I realize that that's probably going to take a lot of time to tell me in the comments. Maybe you can just tell me if you agree with me or not. I don't know. Maybe you have time to do it. Jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts. I will. I would like to know where you would rank them and what you agree with and what you don't agree with. And hopefully there's a lot of people that don't agree because that makes them that makes it just as fun. All right, folks, have a great rest of your Monday. Happy Monday out there. Stay safe out there. And I will be back soon with another episode of McRae Live at some point. Have a great rest of your afternoon, folks. And hey, if you want to follow me on social media and you're not already, jump into the description and click the links. All the links are there. All right, folks, in the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you soon. Cheers.